What else has been happening with Venezuela? Well, this is the post from the Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum. What does it say?
Does it state? Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the United Nations Charter literally states, "The members of the organization in their international relations shall refrain from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations." So, well, Mexico's position is obviously that it is against this attack by the United States on Venezuela.
It's basically the same as the United Kingdom's, which is the issue of international law. That's the position of the United Kingdom and many other countries. But let's say that also draws attention. Today, well, these kinds of images are starting to be seen, where Visegrad shares the fall. Listen to this. You start to see the falls there, not from the image. Well, obviously it's also part of what's happening, right? What interesting and intense times you are living through right now. Also, we started a broadcast early this morning, January 3rd, since it's been a long time since we had to broadcast at 2 a.m. But, well, that's also part of being there, right? Of being here at these moments, sharing with the community. According to what is known, no. The United States is asking its citizens to be alert, American citizens who live there in Venezuela. As you mentioned, they are preferably asking them right now to be very attentive and, if possible, to leave Venezuela. I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean they still think there will be more attacks inside Venezuela, even though they've already destroyed Venezuela's defenses? It's not just because, right? It's probably because they're thinking about carrying out more operations, so it's an important issue. The embassy lacks the capacity to provide direct consular assistance in Venezuela, so any procedure will have to be handled from the office in Bogota, Colombia. So, well, that's also important. Let's see what happens with the Americans who were detained, tourists who had been there and were detained just days before. Nothing else is known about them, and well, that will also be important to mention later on. At the same time, the State Department published a series of recommendations, also for the same purpose, for evacuation and to keep a low profile during these operations. They've told us that, and that's something that can't be confirmed, because something like that isn't going to be confirmed to you. Please listen closely to this information. We've been told that among the Venezuelan military who are loyal to the regime, they have indeed been distributing to them this, what's it called? American uniforms? Yes, this could mean, it could be, and this, I insist, is something that's hard to confirm, but that's what's being said. And we have to pay close attention to that. That they could be wearing American uniforms, doing things, operations against the population, right? For what? Well, let's make people think they're Americans, that they're there. So, also, be careful, because there could be operations by the same military forces loyal to the regime dressed as Americans to create problems or chaos. And so you can't really know exactly who to trust, right? Be careful, because someone in an American uniform might not actually be American. This could happen, right? So just be aware of that situation at least. And well, what else is known?
But there is a reaction from J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, who stated this Saturday that Venezuela ignored several offers to reach an agreement made by the United States, to Nicolás Maduro. And she added that Maduro was the last person to find out that President Trump keeps his word, or is the last one, at this moment, right? The president also offered multiple exit routes, but he was clear that throughout the whole process, drug trafficking must stop. The stolen oil must be returned to the United States. In her comment, Vance also reinforced the United States justification that Maduro was, in fact, a fugitive from United States law. And if not, can someone evade justice for drug trafficking in the United States just because they live in a palace in Caracas? That photo isn't real. No, it's not real. And also because they're sharing a photo of Nicolás Maduro being detained, and it's already been clarified that the photo isn't from intelligence. Right now, it's really complicated with all this intelligence stuff because the ability to make these images keeps getting better.
We have to be very careful with that. There are a lot of images of Maduro being arrested, but it's been confirmed that they're not exactly real images.
And well, Trump said that he saw the whole arrest of Maduro live, that he was there. Well, following it from obviously the cameras that the same soldiers in the United States always carry.
Exactly. Well, probably some of those images will be revealed at some point, and that will also be an important part of these actions. We're going to see a series of actions right now, not only judicial ones in the United States and military ones in Venezuela, but we're also going to see actions in the diplomatic arena. Some of the criticism that the United States has received from multiple countries won't just be brushed aside, so to speak. Because right now, okay, you can see the justification for the reasons why this might have been done. But at the end of the day, they're ignoring international law completely, and that obviously makes a lot of countries nervous, really the whole world.
Exactly, and they've also ignored United States laws because the Senate wasn't consulted on this issue, and this could cause problems. We'll see, because it's upset a lot of people. Donald Trump has more lives than a cat, but well, it's a move he makes on his own.
No, he doesn't take the risk with the Senate, whether with Republicans or Democrats. He asked them for permission because for military actions outside the United States, you have to ask the United States Congress for permission. It's a topic that's, called justified, kind of like that, because of the issue of drug trafficking, and according to that operation, it doesn't correspond to that topic. We're also discussing military personnel operating in a country and additionally against Maduro's regime. So, let's see what more information comes out at first. Well, I think this is going to be talked about all day, and in the coming days, people will keep talking about what's happening. What seemed unlikely is happening, and it's really tremendous. We're seeing a 2026 full of action in this matter, according to what's being reported by the British Broadcasting Corporation. They say there are already international reactions. President Gabriel Boric of Chile condemned the intervention and urged a peaceful resolution. The president of Argentina, Javier Milei, celebrated the action by writing, "Freedom is advancing, long live freedom, damn it," said Javier Milei himself, president of Argentina. For his part, the president of Colombia mobilized his troops to the border. This is a topic we are discussing here. At night, there was information that Colombian troops were walking or moving toward the border with Colombia, with Venezuela. Sorry, that is at the Colombia-Venezuela border. This is also part of these operations that have been observed exactly.
Now, the Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, comes out, the Attorney General, where they deliver a message on state television that the United States attack had resulted in many injured people and that there were people who had lost their lives. And in addition, he has requested proof of life for Nicolas Maduro and his wife Silvia Flores after the President of the United States claimed that they had been captured. For his part, Donald Trump's comment regarding this attack is as follows. He says, "I had never seen anything like this before. I watched it live, listened to the communications, and was amazed by the professionalism and leadership quality. And well, another thing is that Maduro is a kind of fortress that has areas surrounded by steel. It was amazing. What an incredible job they did. No one else could have done it."
I mean, he was in a fortress.
He was basically in Maduro's fortress in Venezuela, right?
Yes, of course. Well, that's good. That's good too. Those who are involved, part of the credit for this situation, for this movement, also goes to United States intelligence, because they had to be very precise in fully confirming where he was, because they could have ended up saying, oh, it was a decoy, it wasn't here. And this would have been totally wrong, with no result in that sense. But anyway, that's how things are. Let's move on to other points also related to that topic.